Episode 146, AI and Identity. Denmark moves to copyright the human face.
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Denmark is pioneering legislation that would make it the first EU country to grant citizens copyright over their own faces, voices, and physical likeness. But the question I'm asking is, will other countries follow suit? Hello and welcome back to the AI6 podcast. I'm Joanne Sweeney, committed to teaching you AI and empowering you to take action with your new knowledge. Before I tell you more about the details of this law, here's why Denmark has taken this bold move to fight back against deepfakes. Here's Dana Almoar from the National News YouTube channel.
What happens when a fake version of you goes viral and there is nothing you can do about it? That is exactly what happened to actress Scarlett Johansson in 2023 when an AI-generated ad used her face and voice to promote a chatbot without her permission. In a separate case, Johansson also accused OpenAI in 2024 of mimicking her voice for its ChatGPT assistant Sky, despite having previously declined the request, highlighting how AI can blur the line between inspiration and imitation, even without using real recordings. Unlike current laws, which require people to prove harm or misrepresentation, Denmark is now proposing a law that would automatically give individuals copyright over their likeness, including their face, voice, and body. That means deepfakes could be taken down even if no real footage was used, and individuals can take legal action simply for being impersonated by AI.
Here are 15 aspects to this landmark law that I think are really interesting. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's the first of its kind European legislation. And giving individuals, citizens, copyright over their own face, voice, and physical likeness because they're making amendments to its copyright law. Now, if you know anything about legislation in the EU, much of our legislation, and in fact, from an Irish context, I think it's over 70% of Irish legislation starts in the EU. So it's interesting to see that Denmark is starting with nation state law, but I'm absolutely sure that the EU will be watching this one very closely. In introducing this law, it had broad political support. So the proposal secured bipartisan agreement from nearly all political parties in Denmark, with 9 out of 10 members of parliament supporting the initiative and parties holding more than 80% of seats backing the measure. So what's the timeline for implementation? Well, the bill was submitted for consultation on the 7th of July this year, 2025, and it's expected to be introduced in the Danish Parliament in winter this year or next year, with the full enactment anticipated by the end of 2026. There are 2 types of protection underneath the law. One, imitation protection for performing artists against realistic, digitally generated imitations of their artistic performances, and then general protection for all individuals against realistic digital imitations of our personal characteristics. Basically, we can copyright ourselves. They built in a 50-year protection period to the proposed law, so both individual likeness rights and performing artist protections will extend for 50 years from the year of death of the person being imitated. In essence, it's targeting realistic deepfakes, so these digitally generated imitations that really create confusion and focusing on content that appears authentic rather than clearly stylized material. So they have included a legal basis for removal requests. So citizens will gain the legal right to demand that social media platforms and websites remove deepfake content featuring their likeness without their consent. Platforms will have a liability and will be subject to fines. So platforms like Meta, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube could face severe fines if they fail to remove flagged deepfake content after receiving notifications. In terms of compensation rights, while the law doesn't directly provide for criminal penalties, affected individuals can seek damages and compensation under general Danish law rules. There are exceptions for creative expression, so the legislation includes specific carve-outs for parody, satire, caricature, pastiche, and criticism to protect freedom of expression and artistic creativity. So how does it fit into the EU Digital Services Act? Well, the new rules will activate the EU Digital Services Act, the DSA, which requires digital platforms to take action against illegal content, creating additional enforcement mechanisms. The Culture Minister Jakob Engel-Schmidt emphasised the law's core message. Everybody has the right to their own body, their own voice, and their own facial features. He said that current laws do not adequately protect against generative AI misuse. It also addresses multiple harms. The law targets various deepfake abuses, including non-consensual deepfake pornography, scam campaigns, fabricated political content, and unauthorised brand endorsements. In terms of geographic limitations, some critics have said that the protective measures are limited to Denmark, meaning illegal deepfake content could still be accessible from other countries, even if blocked for Danish users. So this is where potentially the EU might play a role, because we know the internet does not respect borders. There is an EU presidency influence. Denmark prepares to assume the EU presidency of the EU Council. And when you have that role, countries and nation states do have a prominent say and can advocate for similar protections across the EU. So this could potentially be a template for EU-wide legislation. So it is a revolutionary approach. It's got us all talking, of course. What do you think about it? I mean, it represents a significant shift from traditional deepfake laws that focus on specific criminal harms, but this is actually protecting the individual against imitation of likeness. So this is an instance where legislators are trying to move as fast as technology is evolving. I will watch it with close interest. This is the AI6 podcast. Thank you as always for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a pro you know. I'm Joanne Sweeney. I'll be back to you tomorrow.